Hey friends, welcome to the In Focus podcast, a show for photographers who are looking to grow and scale a photography business that feels good. I'm your host, Gina, a wedding and elopement photographer, industry educator, coach, and most importantly, your friend. On this show, we'll dive into actionable strategies, industry trends, and all things photography related so you can leave each episode feeling inspired and in focus. Hey everyone, welcome back to the In Focus podcast. I'm your host, Gina, and today's episode is going to be a game changer for anyone struggling to connect with potential clients and book more weddings. I have an incredible guest with me today, Bridgette Wuest, a wildly successful photographer who has not only grown an amazing business, but has also mastered the psychology of connection when it comes to clients. We're going to cover how Bridgette built her business into what it is today, the power of energetics and connection in converting inquiries into bookings, and her exact approach to booking clients over calls and why this method works so well. If you've ever felt like potential clients are ghosting you, you're struggling to sell yourself on your calls, or you're just feeling like you're stuck in the rut with inquiries, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. All right, you guys, welcome. I'm here with Bridgette Wuest, and I have her on the show today. She's a documentary wedding photographer, educator, business coach, dog mama, and she's bringing us some game-changing information and education today for client calls. I'm so excited to have her here today. And I'm going to let her do like a little intro because I'm sure I missed things because she has so much going on. So, Bridgette,
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I actually found Bridgette just on Instagram and I'm like such a little fangirl of hers. So I was like, please come on my podcast because you're amazing. And she luckily
Aw.
said yes, luckily for all of us. So,
So sweet.
do you want to, for people that don't know you, can you give like a little brief who you are, what you do, that kind of thing, besides from what I just said?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello, everybody. I am Bridgette. I'm a wedding and elopement photographer and educator based out of Lake Tahoe. So, I live right down the hill and I've been doing this for like 8 years now. But I actually did not know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I went through so many things, but I started out modeling actually. So, I modeled for like 3 months and I was like behind the camera. And then I was like tapping into YouTube and everything's privated. So, don't go look. But at this point, but obviously just like growing curves and stuff. And then it really just led me into photography. So I started my business 8 years ago. And from there, I have just kind of gone full force. Like I'm someone who just loves jumping in the deep end and seeing what I'm capable of. And then I think it was year two, I booked like 7 weddings. And from there, it just went like crazy. And I went full time at the end of year two and made my first 6 figures as a wedding photographer, which was like mind blowing to me. And then had my husband join my team at that point, and now we work full time together and we love it. It's been such a blessing in our lives. We've worked so hard for this and to be able to buy our cars for ourselves and buy our first house last year and just have this dream job. It's been like literal dream. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And yes, we do have a dog. We are obsessed with our dog. I have a tattoo of our past dog, actually. So yeah, we're huge dog people, but that's me.
That's incredible. I mean, so
So
many people that listen to this are in those early stages of photography.
yeah,
There's a lot that listen that are well into it as well. But what you just
totally.
said, like your story getting into photography is their actual dream. Let's start just maybe at the very beginning there. Kind of take us back to when you were just getting started, like
Yeah.
those first 2 years, right? Let's focus there first.
Okay.
What would you say like got you to that point of quitting your job, having Jake come and work alongside of you? Like what was
Mhm.
like maybe let's do three or two, like pivotal things that were just like,
Okay.
this is what made me get to that point in the 2 years.
Okay. So I think one of the biggest things was just this. I had like a massive imposter syndrome before I started my business because I was like doing modeling and other things before photography. And so my friends were photographers. They would take pictures of me and help, I was super creative in that aspect. So when I wanted to start photography, I was like, oh my God, like there's all these other people that are photographers. Like, who the F am I? Like, I'm not qualified. We all have these things we say about ourselves.
Yeah.
So it literally took me 2 years before I even took the plunge to start. And looking back, like, I just wish I started so much sooner because future me is like rooting for her
Yeah.
and just didn't do it. And so the biggest thing for me was like my mindset of just telling myself, like, you're going to offer something incredible to the world, and every single one of us has something special. And so that was like the biggest thing holding me back. And then when I started, it was just like a huge snowball because I had all this passion just building. And I was like, F it, I'm going all in. Like, I don't give a crap who says anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be trash at taking pictures, but we'll figure it out. And so I invested in so much education. I went to workshops and I invested in coaches and mentors and I went to conferences and involved myself within the community and made friends and all the things and just really submerged myself because I was like, I have the passion and I have the work ethic. Like, I just need to know what direction to take. And so once I finally learned, like, oh, this is what other photographers are doing and it's working for them, like, I'm going to try that because I trust them. And I did it. And that's when I quit my job because I had booked 22 weddings in the course of 2 months after I learned everything. It was literally insane. And I quit. And then from there, it's just been crazy.
Well,
Just-
that's insane, actually. 22 weddings in 2 months. Like, people are
Mhm.
gonna listen to this and be like, No, photo or it didn't happen." That's so unreal. So, like, okay, then I just want like, before I just leave them with that, like, crazy
Yeah.
bomb, truth bomb, what's one thing that led you to book 22 weddings in 2 months? Like, if you had to pick one thing for someone to do, they're right now, they're, like, begging for one wedding in 2 months. Like, what's one thing?
I think just like showing up more, but I
Like, on
don't know.
social media?
Whatever marketing form works for you. Like,
Okay.
there's so many ways to market, and this is what I love talking about too, because like marketing was so scary to me in the beginning. I kid you not, I did not know the difference between marketing and advertising when I first started. I'm like, that sounds so the same. Like, what is the difference?
Mhm.
That's a whole other topic, but yeah, I to just get out there. Like, people have no idea you exist, and just show up, whatever that means for you, and just start. That's, like, the one thing I would tell myself going back because I was so terrified of what other people would think, and I was like, "I'm not good enough, so I'm just not even gonna start." But yeah, just show up, like, start sharing your work, get passionate, and just lean into that, so
That's amazing. And so then when did Jake join you? Like, so what at point did you like look at your business and be like, okay, I've made it and like, babe, now you can join me on this kind of, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
totally. Yeah, so it was literally 6 months before COVID hit, so it was, like,
Okay. Cool.
August of 2019. I remember I was at a workshop literally in Alaska, and we were talking about, like, pros and cons of, like, him staying at his job and him joining the business, and he was literally at work, and he was, like, comparing the 2, and he was like, "It's just no-brainer, like, I am so tired of doing this job, and I just want to instead of working so hard to put money in someone else's pocket, I wanna help fuel this business so we can be happy and put money in our own pocket." And so, yeah, it was August of 2019. And it was such a blessing because he's like very opposite of me and he has so many other strengths that I don't. He's very good at like numbers and like the practical side of things, which thank God because like my budget was a hot mess. But, like, yeah, so right before COVID hit, he helped kinda, like, get the business stronger, like, monetarily and get things on track and stuff, and then COVID hit, and it was just, like, obviously insane for everybody.
And so now what would you say is like his role in supporting you in your growth? Like, what does he do and what do you do?
Totally. So I the way I can explain it is, like, I do the front end and he does, like, the back end, and so I do all the shooting, so I'll show up to, like, weddings and I'll shoot. I do all the editing, I do consults with, like, brides and all the emails and stuff. So he runs, like, all the numbers, the finances, the accounting. He does all the gifts for, like, our clients, and then he runs some of, like, the marketing and stuff, as well as culling, like, that's, like, the big
He
one
does that?
as well. So he culls or sorts all my images, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God because, like, I hate it. It's, like, the first thing I was like, "Can
Yeah.
you this, please?"
You can do this.
Yeah, and so he does that, and then we just kinda go back and forth. So, like, I'll shoot, I'll put the photos on a hard drive for him, he will sort them and then give them back, and I'll edit them, and yeah, and then he does, like, the gifts and then also runs, like, our Pinterest page, so
What
yeah.
a guy of all trades to support you. I mean, that's amazing. I love that. And it seems like you, I mean, obviously you're doing a lot of the heavy front work, if you wanna call it, like, the front work, but, like,
Yeah.
shooting you has to be done to
Mhm.
run, like, a successful business, and then he's just, like, it allows you to grow so much faster, so that's really amazing for you guys, that's
Thank
incredible.
you.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
I my husband and I are very similar, like, he's very much that side of the brain, he doesn't work for me, but, like, I try to pick his brain on that kind of stuff
Uh-huh.
whenever freaking possible. It's good to have that
Literally
balance. Yeah.
it's so helpful because 'cause I'm like, "I wanna spend, like, 3 grand on a new lens," and he's like, "No, we need to save for taxes," or whatever, and I'm like, "You're"
Yes. Yeah. Okay, fine. Le That's less fun, but fine.
yes, yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh. Something that kind of sets you apart is like your deep understanding of like energetics and psychology of connection when it comes to working with clients. So maybe let's talk about like when you talk about like the energetics of in context of business in
Yeah.
client interactions, like what are you kind of talking about there?
Totally. So I'm just talking about like creating a really strong connection with another human being. So there's so many ways you can do that. And there's so much psychology behind this. I don't know like proven scientific stuff. I just know my experience. So that's what I'm going to talk on.
Heck yeah.
Um, but I have just learned that I'm very much an empath and everyone has feelings, but I just feel like I feel things personally, like very deeply. And so when it comes to connection, no matter what business you have, like there's such a way to be your best self and create such this high energy and this high vibe. And that doesn't mean you have to be like screaming or high energy. It just means like being your most authentic you. Like who is Gina? Who is Bridget? Who is Sally or Taylor or Bob? I don't know. And it's like, be who you are. And when you bring that type of energy to the table, you can feel that so much on a deeper level, even through a screen, whether it's on a Zoom call or through a phone call. That's why videos become, I think, in my opinion, so powerful because you can feel someone's emotion deeper. That's why, like, being in person with somebody is so powerful, right? Because you can connect with them so much. And so it's like, how can you create the strongest connection with somebody? Which, when you do that, like, that just makes sales easier, makes booking easier. So, makes booking weddings a breeze and you guys just have like the best freaking time and have the most fun and it gets to be really easy. So that's basically what I mean when I love talking about like energy and connection. You could say it's like personal branding, it all kind of ties together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just like my favorite thing to talk about because it can be difficult and it might seem easy to some people, but I think it's like extremely powerful.
Yeah.
So
And
that
like
answered.
no, it totally does. It's like
Okay.
it's good to just put that kind of light on it, and I love that you phrase it in a way where it's like, you don't try to be Gina or Bridget, just try to be the best version of you, like,
Yeah.
show up as you wholeheartedly, and
Yeah.
that's where that connection can come from and, like, energy, so I, like, literally love that so much, and then would you say so, like, that kinda how does that help you build that, like, trust with your clients, I guess, or potential clients, I would say?
Yeah. So I love this question, but I used to be the shyest person in the room. I wouldn't talk to anybody. And every time I tell this to people, no one believes me
Yeah,
because they're
no.
like, but you're so confident. And I'm like, I had to build my confidence. I had to learn how to figure out who Bridget was and do a lot of inner work. And it was not easy. And so back then, that's who I used to be. And I used to have like the biggest imposter syndrome. But yeah, comparing myself was like a really big struggle of mine. And so I was always trying to be somebody else. And I feel like so many creatives and photographers can relate to this because we're like, oh my God, I just love their editing. We're like, this person's so confident, or like whatever it is. Like we love to compare ourselves, but it's so draining and so toxic for people individually because it's only tearing you down instead of cheering you up. And so, with all that being said, that was my normal. My subconscious was like, you aren't good enough. You need to be better. So, I had to reframe it to, I get to be the best effing version of Bridget I can possibly be. I'm going to go buck wild. I'm going to be so passionate and I'm just going to show up and see what the hell happens.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, and that's when I started really learning, like, oh, when you show up as yourself, you come to the table with so much to offer, and then you are putting out that energy into the world, which is going to attract higher connection, whether that's higher paying clients, whether that's people that are gonna take you seriously, whether that's whatever it is. And so I always give examples of how you show up to like a Zoom call, for example, or show up to like a wedding day, right? So if you show up like late or you forgot to brush your teeth or you're wearing a ratty hair, your hair's in a rat nest or whatever, it's like simple things that you can do to make you feel like your best version of you, whatever that means for you. And so I'm not saying like, oh, you have to be a beauty queen or like whatever. It's like, no, like just do the simple things to make you feel high vibe. So what does
Yeah.
that mean? You. And for me, it means like, okay, I'm going to put a little makeup on. I'm going to jam out to some rad music beforehand to raise my energy. And like, there's so many little things, right? Make your coffee or whatever. And then you can show up to a call, whether it's an interview or a consult with a potential bride and groom or whatever. You can show up in this energy of like, I am ready. I'm my best self. I'm here to serve you. And I can't wait to potentially have you pay me lots of money. And that is the energy that everyone wants to be in when they are being sold to, in my opinion. And so you show up with that, like the connection is easy. If you're marketing your brand message and everything, like this is the final step. And then people see that and they're like, it's easy. Yes. That's why I love this so much because it might seem easy of like, oh, yeah, get ready or, oh, like, be positive or whatever. Like that's I feel like what people like to put stamps on of what I'm talking about, but in reality, like it's so much deeper than that and it can be so much deeper. And when you really lean into those things and focus on like, okay, I'm going to be the best version of myself today and not skip it because it's less important or whatever than something else. It's like, no, this is a priority because it gets to connect you with rad ass people and
Yeah.
you get to support your business. So
I couldn't agree more. You guys should go on her website and read her about page because I was like just doing a little research for this episode and I was like just trying to get to know you. And you can totally get to know you from your about page, which I love so
look at
much.
it.
And it like, okay, scroll down, you guys read it all, but scroll down because there's this part at the bottom that I was really refreshing to me. And it was like the part where like you talk about your day. And I was like, I love this. Like she's like works out, you're all about routines, you make sure you get your workout in and just set your life up for success. And I was like, I can vibe with this. This is a vibe that I can mess around with. Like, I love this. So go check it out, you guys, if you're needing to refresh your about page just for some inspiration. But it kind of reminded me of what you were just talking about. I could just see every day, like you set your morning up. So the rest of your day is so successful and you have that energy to give to your business that then
Yeah.
reciprocates back to you.
Yeah, you can't give from an empty cup, right? That, like,
Yeah. Yes.
expression. Yeah, you gotta give to yourself first, so
Perfect. Amazing. Can we talk about so you mentioned imposter syndrome, which is like literally every time you open Instagram, like my God. And it messes with your confidence and all the things. You've kind of come out on the other side. Like good job, like way to be.
you.
If you like someone listening to this, if they were like really struggling with that right now, like what advice or what tips or what got you you said you did some inner work or like you worked on it.
Yeah,
Like what kind of got you past being stuck in that? Because it could be like a never ending door.
totally. It's still hard and I still struggle with it, so I'm not here to tell you, I've figured out all the answers or I'm perfect. I'm a human being just like all of us. I've just really tried to fix this part of my life because it's not fun. Like, if anyone else is feeling this way, it can be debilitating, like, it's so you lose yourself and you are like the most important. And so, yeah, I think what I would tell them is to truly just cut off whatever it is that is making you feel that way. I tell people all the time, yes, Instagram can be such a life suck and cause so many of these feelings. And so, if you want to use it for marketing, please keep doing that, but create really strict boundaries. Or if there's specific people that are making you feel that way, like literally unfollow or mute them. I tell my students this where I'm like, if I make you feel that way, literally unfollow me. Like, I do not care. Like, it's never a personal thing. It's
Yeah.
truly just for business for all of us and connection at the end of the day. But if it's creating something negative for you, I would never want to make you feel that way. And so, yeah, unfollow me. And so, whatever it is, whether it's Instagram or if it's a personal connection with someone in person, whether it's a family or a friend, whatever it may be, maybe it's music you're listening to or shows you're watching or whatever, like however you are infiltrating your mind, that's in a negative way, making you feel those things, like you have to cut it off or start to slowly cut it.
Yeah.
And of course, that's easier said than done, especially with relationships, but there's boundaries that can be set in place, right? And at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. And if that's something that needs to be done, like, slowly take steps to get there.
Yeah. And like that's a huge thing is I think first like recognizing that is it's so hard. Like you almost don't even recognize it. Like we're scrolling on Instagram and you're seeing all this stuff and it's so easy to like not realize like how much comparison you're doing in like
Yeah,
2 minutes of scrolling, like how much
literally.
you just intook and then compared yourself and then moved on, you know, like and made all these judgments on yourself. So it's good to just recognize it first and then set those boundaries or try to set boundaries. That's such a good point right there.
I literally mute a bunch of people on Instagram because I don't want to unfollow them. I might wanna see just their stories or just their posts. There's so many options nowadays too, and
Yeah.
you can turn it on and off, but something that Jake and I have recently been talking about a lot and really encouraging each other to do is look at our screen time. Like, it's terrifying. Like, you go into your settings and you look at, like, screen time, and
Yeah.
so a lot of us, like, we use our phone for business, but like, you know what you're doing on there, okay? Like, you know, if it says 7 hours a day or something insane, you're like, "Okay, 3 of that's definitely scrolling."
Isn't that
So, you
crazy?
can't lie to yourself, and, like, that's, like, my biggest thing of, like, okay, if that's what you're doing, like, maybe try and just get that down an hour and, like,
Yeah.
slowly start chipping it down. Yeah, it's
It's
hard,
so
but
hard. It gets I'm gonna like, you guys don't have little humans yet, but, like, once you have little humans, it gets even it's, like, worse in a different way. I have been wanting to have us put our phones away at 7 o'clock or, like, even 5:30, just because it's like a weird energy, like, we're brainwashed at this point. I'm just gonna say,
yeah.
like, we're in it.
Mhm.
Like, we for our phones with our kids, and then we don't even realize and then we get annoyed when they, like, interrupt us, and I'm like, "Oh my god, like, Gina, like, put your phone away right now." Like,
I know.
it is so bad. So we're actively trying to be better at it. So hard, and it's crazy how fast they pick it up too. Like, we have, like, an old iPhone that doesn't even turn on anymore, and, like, my baby carries it like, I'm like, "Oh my god, we're ruining her."
You're
Like,
like, "I need to stop this."
she's
Sorry, that's
ruined. It's fine. We're all gonna be fine. It's all gonna
I know. Something that really helped us try and, like, shift, like, the mindset around it is like, "Okay, is this, like, intentional or is this, like, not?" Because when you
Yeah,
just lay there and you're, like, scrolling, like,
yeah.
you're not mentally connected, and it's like, whenever you get off your phone, like, "Can you really tell me what you just saw?"
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my god, that's such a good, like, question.
you know what I mean? And so it makes me feel so bad about myself where I'm like, I wasted, like, so much time, like, I could have been literally playing games, or I could have been, like, chatting with my sister, or watching a movie, or something intentional. There's nothing wrong with scrolling, like, we can get entertainment out of it, but if you're, like, in the mind suck of, like, I have no idea what dimension I'm in, like, you need to pull yourself out. And so that's been, like, a small thing of that we've tried to shift is just like, okay, is this intentional? Like, are we going to the bathroom and scrolling around? Or is it, like, just in bed for hours?
Yes. Yeah. Oh
I
my
don't know
god.
if that'll help you guys, but that's helped us for sure.
Something to always work on. It will help me now for sure. I'm gonna be thinking about that tonight. Like, when I hit my 5:30 cutoff time, I'm like, "What did Bridget say? Do I even know what I'm doing right now? Put your phone away, Gina." Oh my gosh. Well, okay, let's shift. Let's talk about sales calls. Hey, photographers, I'm interrupting my own episode because there's something I want to tell you. If you are ready to elevate your wedding photography business, build an incredible portfolio, and connect with a community of like minded creatives, then you do not want to miss this. I'm hosting an in person wedding photography workshop on May 26th, and it's going to be an absolute game changer for your business. This is your chance to capture stunning, high end portfolio images with curated styled shoots, dive deep into the business and marketing strategies, and get hands on coaching to help you book more of your dream clients. Whether you're looking to refine your posing, master your workflow, or elevate your overall brand, this workshop is going to be designed to give you everything you need to level up. Spots are limited to 10 photographers, and early bird pricing won't last long. Head to the show notes and submit an application now to secure your spot. I cannot wait to see you there. Let's make this the year your photography business absolutely thrives. And I feel like a lot of photographers can feel stuck here or awkward because the word sales just makes them feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But I know that you have a really powerful approach that works. So, like, first of all, why do you feel so strongly about sales calls? Like, what for you makes them work so powerfully in your business?
I love this question. Like I said, I used to be so shy and so nervous. And when I first started my business, I didn't even do Zoom calls, which I do now. I did just phone calls. And so I remember the first time I hopped on a consult call and I was like shaking and I was sweating profusely. I was literally about to have a panic attack because I was just like, I want these people to pay me money and book me for their wedding. And I don't know how to do this. And I'm so scared. And so I'm like, I had my headphones in and I'm like, when you can tell someone's just anxious over audio or something and you just hear the shaking in their voice, and it was just like so bad. So I went from that to just loving sales calls now, and it's possible. I know this is a very difficult topic for some people, but trust me when I tell you, like, I completely understand. But the reason why I love them so much now is because of kind of what I've talked about previously, of just like, you can show up as yourself and serve people that are looking for something that you have to offer and only you have to offer, truly, and they get to pay you money for it. Something that has really shifted my perspective in regards to this was, I don't remember who told me this, so I apologize, but they told me, like, stop making it about you. Like, every time I would get anxious, I was thinking about myself, like, I'm going to do a bad job. I'm stressed. I need to make money. I want a booking. And so I was always thinking inward. And what shifted it for me was like, how can you serve these people? And so asking that one question really helped me realize, like, oh, it's not about me.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm here to provide a service and I'm here to blow someone's minds with how incredible this whole experience can be. And they get to pay me so much money that gets to bless my family. And I get to work really hard, which is an incredible, awesome thing. And so it really shifted everything because it's not like, how can I calm my anxiety? How can I say the right thing? It's like, whenever I tell that to myself, and I say this every time before I hop on a consult, even to this day, because like, yes, I still get nerves, like we're all human, but yeah, I say that. And then it's like all the answers start coming to me and it
Love
doesn't
it.
matter what it is. So yeah, that's what's really shifted for me because yes, sales calls can be like scary, but I feel like when you shift the perspective, it's no longer scary because you're like, oh, I'm not going to mess up. Like I just get to talk to these people about the happiest day of their lives and take pretty pictures. Like, how cool. So, yeah.
That's
Does that answer?
perfect. That's so
Okay.
good. Yeah. I think that's such a good like mind shift to have too. If you can, anytime you feel that, just thinking about who you're trying to serve, like what a good way to just take that pressure off of yourself. Like I love that. That is such a key thing that people should take away from this episode is like that little mind shift right there every single call. And I love that you say it every time too. Like good like
I do.
refresher. Let's talk about your structure for like a successful client call. So what is let's just say like you're hopping on, so this is like right after someone inquires with you, right? And like I'm guessing you then send them your pricing
Hmm.
and then you guys get on a call if like that pricing works.
Yep.
So then what kind of happens like after so once you guys are on the call?
Okay. So they inquire, I send them my pricing guide, and we connect a little over email. They'll schedule a call with me. We get on the call. So I'll kind of walk you through like a general format. We hop on. I love to connect with them. I love beginning and ending my calls on a personal level. Connection is everything. No one is going to really remember what you said, but they are going to 1,000,000% remember how you made them feel. How you show up and make someone feel throughout an entire experience with you is what this call is about. Yes, they are here to book you for a service. Like I said, you're here to serve them and provide that. But that's already known. They're showing up, they already love you, they already saw your pricing, so none of that matters. Like you are just here to make a connection and prove to them that, okay, we can trust you. And so this whole call is about forming trust. And by doing that, like starting on a personal level, like we're strangers at this point, okay? Like I've never met these people. They're like, who is Bridget?
Mhm.
Like we kind of have an idea from like her website or social media or whatever, but like we've never met her before. And so that's how this gets to be fun of like, if you show up and start connecting with them of like, what you guys do today? Like, oh, we worked. Okay, cool. Like, where do you work? Like making connections with them. Whether they have dogs and you have dogs, great. That's such an easy connection. Whatever it is, it gets to be easy. And then from there, I'll just talk about like what they want in their wedding day, how they met, creating like a custom package for them. By that, I just mean like, okay, what is it that you guys want? Do you want 8 hours or 9 hours? And like in my pricing guide, I'll offer like in an 8 hour package and like a 10-hour package. So if they
Mhm.
need an extra hour, like, great, let's throw it on. Stuff like that. And so we'll create this whole thing. We'll dream together and figure out what it is that they're wanting. And then from there, I'll talk about the package, explain my services and all of that. I actually don't ever talk about price unless they specifically ask about it. I'll talk about payment plans and all that, but I never actually say, this package is this much. They can see it. They have eyeballs. We don't
Yeah.
need to talk about it. And I think that's like one of the craziest things that people learn about how I do things because they're like, but it's a sales call. Like you're talking about them paying you money. And I'm like, yeah, but that's already known. Like we don't have to talk about it because it's already in there.
Yeah.
And these people are looking for an experience to just feel taken care of. They're not looking for just like, let me slap this price on, like pay for the cheapest thing or whatever. Something that I really like to do that's really worked for me is a process that I call like the assume method or just like assuming the sale. What this means is that I assume that they're booking with me because again, this is just an energy and a confidence thing of it's not an ego thing. You went through this entire process. We created this whole package on the call. Like, I'm so excited to work with you guys. I'm going to send over a proposal. It's going to be so easy. I can't wait to work with you. That is me assuming that they're going to book me
Mhm.
because if you do that and approach that, you're still asking them, like, okay, do you want to book? They can always say no. And some people still do, and that's totally fine. But it helps make the decision easier for them because they're like, oh, she's excited. Like,
Yeah.
we went through this whole thing and now we can't wait to work with her and we don't have to ask how to pay and make it awkward. Like she's going to send everything over. This whole process has been easy so far. Now it's even easier to book. So I will ask them what they're doing after. And usually my calls are like in the afternoon. So I'm like, you guys watching TV or you making dinner? Like do anything fun
Yeah.
and connect on that way. And then I end the call.
Yeah. So many good points. I always think about these calls too, and it kind of reminded me like how you start and end with personals, like kind of like a first date, even though I haven't gone
Yeah.
on like a first date in like 20 years. But I would assume that like when you go on a first date, you like are trying to get to know the other person and like your sell on a first date is like
Yeah.
another date, right? But you're not going to
Yeah.
start there. You're going to
Yeah.
start by getting to know each other and like making that
Yes.
connection and then deciding if you want to go on the next date, right? So I always like kind of go into my even though I'm like not a dater at all, I'd be so screwed in the dating world. But that's kind of how I've always thought about these inquiry calls is like, first I need to know if this is the guy or, the couple in our
Yeah.
scenario that
Yeah.
I want to go on another date with, and they need to know that about me too. So I love that. And then your assume method, that's really cool. I don't think I've ever heard the terminology on it. So I mean, I don't know, trademark that, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you ever have people like, do you ever have objections right after you do it? Because that's probably a fear of someone listening might be like, oh my God, I would like never do that because what if they're
Right.
like, oh yeah, no, actually. Have you ever had like an
Yeah.
in front of you objection?
Yes, and, like, it's definitely hard. This is, like, the hardest part of calls or any, like, relationship conversations, right? If someone has an objection with you, it's like, "Okay, great. This is really difficult, but yes, it does happen, and you just have to handle it, like, the best you can." I have had couples who tell me, "Thanks for sending it over, but we just don't know if we wanna book with you yet." I'm like, "That's fine. You have a week to look over things. I'm putting a light hold on your date, so you'll have an open proposal for a week, chat things over, like, go talk to other photographers, shop around. Like, I want to make sure I'm the best fit for you guys. So if I'm not, book someone else." And it's just, again, that confidence of like, go do what you need to do. So whenever I have objections, like, I always just try and like lean into that and really listen to them because they clearly are feeling it for a reason. And I know some people are like, okay, but like, what if we don't get the sale? And it's like, it's okay not to get the sale. Like, it's not, you're not going to have 100% booking rate. If so, you
Yeah.
probably raise your prices.
Yep.
Um, and like, honestly, I look at it in a good way. Like, if I have someone who has strong objections or that doesn't end up booking me, it's like that's probably God telling you or the universe or whatever you believe in, like telling you that this isn't a good fit for you. And so if there's someone that's like, okay, like this all looks great, but like, will you sign over the rights to everything that you do? It's like, okay, that's a huge red flag, right? Like, no. And that's probably not going to be someone that you want to work with anyways,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it just depends on like the objection and how to handle it. But I used to be really bad at this and I did not always like say the right thing. But that's okay. You live and you learn. I think the most important thing, like whenever you get objections, is to just like breathe. Number one, like I know it's scary. Like, do not word vomit. You'll get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Word vomiting. Like protect your business and like know the value of what you're offering, but still serve the client. So if it's something simple that you're okay with, maybe like offering additional black and white edits or whatever it is they're asking for, and you're okay with that for your business, like offer it. But if it's not, then stand firm on that and there's nothing wrong with it.
I think like that's where the power of being so confident in your pricing comes in and like what you're offering and like the value of what you're offering. And so that way
Yeah,
when you do get those objections, like it's not a cost thing. And if it is, that's not your client. And if it's a budget thing, then like not your client, but you believe in your cost. Like you're not gonna change for this person because the person that's right for you is out there somewhere. So I think
absolutely.
being so confident in your numbers and your packages and then just understanding that like if you've put yourself out there like wholeheartedly who you are and as genuine as possible, then if
Mm,
it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit, and it's not gonna be a good fit on the wedding day either. So, like, it's not gonna
That
change.
yeah,
Yeah, and from
probably
doing it.
gonna get worse. And then they might be like have so many themes that are just like way over the top asks like
Yeah.
after the wedding day too. And like you don't want that, you know?
Yeah. I always feel like if
Don't
you get those questions about the budget on the inquiry call, as the wedding gets closer, there's so many little costs that add up that people don't realize that are gonna come. And like even as a wedding photographer, I know they're gonna come, but I couldn't tell you exactly what they're gonna be. It's like as it gets closer, they're paying all these final deposits. That's where people start to get a little weird. And like they're all of a sudden they're like questioning things in their packages or what you're charging them or all this thing. So it's like if you have those questions up front, they're only gonna get worse
Yes.
as it gets
Yeah.
closer because there's a lot more pressure, like, as the day gets, like, 30 days out or, whatever.
I have it as an example. Can I share it?
Oh,
Is that
please do. Please do.
okay? Okay. So recently, I think it was last fall, so let's say like 6 months ago, I had a consult with a bride and groom to shoot their wedding, and I haven't shot it yet. I'm shooting their wedding, I think, in like a few months. This was like a difficult consult call. And let me mention, I had 3 of them. I talked to the groom specifically on 3 separate occasions before he booked, which I've never done before.
Yeah.
And but it was a very big learning experience for me, and I felt so proud that I booked the client. But I wanna make sure that I mention, like, there's such a difference between, like, red flags and then just, like, difficult questions.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like we really blur them sometimes. Like, I used to feel like whenever someone's like, "Hey, what's your editing style like?" Or like, How long does it take you to deliver photos?" Or like, "What gear do you use?" Or like, "Do you have a second shooter?" Like, when they'd ask multiple questions, I'm like, "Oh my god, they don't trust me." Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd
Yeah.
get so defensive, and I'm like, "Red flag client, like, I'm not gonna book." Like, because I was scared that they were just, like, not going to be a good fit and
Yeah.
continue asking a lot of questions, but I feel like questions like that are harmless, and they just want to make sure they can trust you, and there's some people that need that reassurance. I answered all these questions, really reassured them. The groom's also a photographer, so it makes a lot of sense, like, he
Okay.
was just making sure he's like, "These photos mean the absolute world to me, like, I'm willing to pay a lot of money, but I have to make sure I trust you." Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, but he's just like anybody else. He just does this craft,
Yeah.
like we do. And so it's completely understandable. I asked all the questions and he's literally became one of my top bookings, like paid me
Yeah.
so much money.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's just proof that like some of these questions, like really listen and make sure you answer them, but go with your gut on them, you know? But it doesn't always mean they're a bad client or a red flag client, like if they have a lot of questions. So
That is
yeah.
such a good story because as soon as you
Thank
started, I was gonna be like, "Oh my god, they're a red flag, right?" And
Right,
like,
right.
yeah, initial
Yeah, but
thought,
no.
yeah. Oh my god, that's such a good point. Yeah, I could probably do a little bit better of that myself, actually. Uh,
Yes.
I'm always like, I didn't like that question did so well with me.
I know.
But no, it's good to know that it can be turned around, and if you just, like, change your, like almost like it's defensive is, like, a great word to do like, I don't know why we get like that, but maybe we're just trying to protect our businesses, I guess, I don't know.
Totally, totally.
Yeah, this is a good point and good to see, like, how it came out on the other side there.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're
but
doing good, so
yeah,
yeah.
you coach a lot of photographers, so what's maybe one of the biggest mistakes you see that photographers are making on these client calls? And I know you're not sitting on their client calls, but maybe you, like, hear about them or chat with them or I don't know, is there anything, like, that you see, like, stands out, like, this is one of the biggest things that people need to, like, do on their client calls to, like, shift that outcome?
Totally. So I'll say like my main thing, but I'll also like reiterate something as well that I think is so important. So honestly, just like make sure you're either assuming that they're going to book with you and like send them the proposal, be confident that you can send everything over so they can book you, or just ask them like, "Hey, like, do you want to book with me?" Or "How do you feel? Like, are you ready for me to send over the contract? I can't wait to work with you." That needs to be done because it makes people feel so awkward and it's not their job to be like, "Okay, how do we pay you money?" If they have to ask that, you failed. I'm sorry. You need to ask the question. Be the service provider and be like, all right, here's how you pay me money." That should be the easiest step. But I feel like people just get so scared because they don't want to be like a sleazy salesperson. It kind of comes back to that again. I totally
Yeah,
get it. But just ask them. You did all this work. You went through the whole call. You did such a good job. And now just assume that they want to go with you
yeah,
and send everything over. That alone should help your booking rate go up because sometimes people are like, "Okay, well, let me know, what you think." And they're like, "Okay." Like it's just like show up and be confident that they want to book you because they've gone this whole way. Like would not show up and spend an hour of their time or however long your calls are out of their busy lives to talk to you if they didn't care about you.
exactly.
Yeah, want to book you. So
Yeah. It, like, helps them just start to paint the picture of you in their life too, like, "Oh, she's already with us on this. It's already done." I love that's such a good it's so tangible, it's so good, I love it. People are gonna use that.
I love that. And I just want to reiterate one more thing too. Like, if you ever feel nervous or just like are not sure what to say, just remind yourself and tell yourself, like, how can I serve these people? Like, what's the one thing I can do, or how can I best lean into serving these people? And that's always grounds me and it always takes myself out of it and helps you do a better job of like doing whatever you need to do for them. So that helps me book a lot of clients as well.
Okay, I love this. This has been really, really good. I feel like we could talk for hours. I do want to start to kind of wrap things up just for the sake of time. Let's wrap up with some tangible things for the listeners. Some of it might be like reiterating it, but we'll just kind of keep it like shorter, bullet pointed.
Love it.
So like what is like one thing for photographers that you wish that they understood about connection and energy in their businesses specifically? Like what's one thing that you hope they take away from this episode today?
I would say show up for yourself every single day, whatever that means for you. Like, take a moment for you, go put some makeup on, go listen to some music, but just show up for yourself. Like, putting yourself first will always help your business,
Mhm.
whatever business that is. But yes, that's
A hot seat question. What's like one thing you do to show up for yourself like every morning? Like one thing that you have to do.
I always listen to music. So I love like EDM and dance music. And I just like jam out in the bathroom and I'm like dancing and I'm like being a crazy person. But it's either that or listening to like a coach. I don't have like a full time coach, but I listen to this girl named Bridgette and I follow her and I listen to her lives all the time. So it's that or like music for sure.
Someone that's struggling with bookings like right now, what's something that they could do today to maybe turn that around or help them with that?
Ooh, I'm going to continue on the path of just like take yourself out of it, like show up for yourself. Be passionate, like, start posting more on Instagram if you feel bad about it, like, maybe you mute people, unfollow people, do whatever you need to do, but just put yourself out there. No one's judging you or looking at you the way you think that they are. People really want to pay you a lot of money for what you do and are going to be excited to do that. Remind yourself that you're incredible and go do the damn thing.
I love it. Okay, and then I do wanna end and talk about your coaching program that's coming out. You're
Okay,
relaunching
awesome.
or reopening spots. Tell us more about it and kinda like what it's all about.
So, I have a group coaching program called The Transformation. It is a program where I help photographers who are like more intermediate really go full time, surpass that six-figure mark, and book weddings. So, I take you through the whole process of like branding, marketing, personal power. We go deep on consult calls. We do like consult call role playing. It's really fun. And you basically get this whole community as well to support you. But yeah, it's a 3-month program and I will be opening spots in April. So doors are currently closed right now. If you want more info on that, you can just head to like my Instagram.
Cool, and if you have a link or something, I can put it in the show notes too.
Perfect.
How big is your group?
So
Do you
it's only
cap it?
10 people.
Okay, you do cap it. So if they want in,
Yes.
they should get on some kind of list or something?
Yes, they can sign up. I have a whole form they can fill out and I make sure they're a good fit. So you can't just like join. I want to make sure like if you're going to pay me to coach you, like you're in a good spot to make sure that I can. So yeah, we can chat about that, but I basically like audit a bunch of things for them. It feels like one-on-one, but it's truly a group setting. So that way like they can book as many weddings as possible and just like
Yeah.
get as much as they can out of it.
Amazing. Is this your second time going through it or multiple? Have you been through it many times?
I think this is like my third time.
Okay,
Third,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Upcoming will be like my fourth time. So we're currently
Yeah.
in like 3 right now.
Oh, I love it. Do you have people that go multiple 3 months? Yeah, I could see
Yes.
that definitely being beneficial just to like I feel like 3 months is a good amount of time, but like you could easily go longer than that. So that's amazing.
I have a bunch of students who keep coming back. I have a subscription that you can join afterwards. It's literally like
Okay.
$20 a month. It's so cheap. You can join all the future Zoom calls and stay
Yeah.
plugged in. You can continue to get ignited when new launches come and meet new people that are passionate, but you can stay as long as you want or cancel anytime. So,
Oh my god, that's brilliant. So smart and so great for the people in it. So I love that. I always end with 3 hot seat questions.
okay,
I
let's do
didn't
it.
tell you these ones.
That's okay.
Okay, and they're, like, literally not related to anything.
Oh my God, goodness, I'm here. Let's go.
Okay. Okay, would you rather be able to talk to animals or fly?
Talk to animals.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
I think it'd be so cool to talk to like my dog or like a freaking frog or something. I don't know.
oh, yeah, you're a dog person, you'd absolutely choose to talk to animals. Like, you wanna talk to your best friend. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. This is like more serious, but maybe to like be able to impact like everyone in the world in some way.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And then what is one word that you're living by right now?
My word of the year is action. I am determined to just take action in any path that I'm feeling called to just do it and not like sit on it or dwell on it or think on it. Just do it. So that's my
Oh,
word.
Oh, that's good. This was so, so good, Bridget. I'm so glad you took the time to come on here. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. Like,
Of
they're gonna
course.
right now, I think like they're not even gonna make it to this part of the episode because they're already gone, like working on their like client calls and all that kind of stuff. But thank you so much. So you guys, you can follow Bridget on Instagram. I will link her Instagram below. Is it just your name at Bridgette Wuest?
Yep, just Bridgette Wuest.
Okay. And yeah, I'll link it because like Weist is like hard to I had to ask her how to say her
I
last
know it's hard.
name. So I'll link it and then follow her along if you want to jump into her group coaching. It's opening in April. But other than that, that's all I got. Thank you, Bridget.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Gina. It's so fun.
All right, my friends, that's a wrap on today's episode. If you've ever struggled with client bookings, confidence on calls, or really connecting with your potential clients, Bridget just shared so many golden nuggets to help you shift your mindset and your strategy. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot, share it on Instagram, tag us. We would love to know what resonated with you most, and I'd love to hear your biggest takeaways. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. I always try to pack these with strategies to help you grow your photography business. Until next time, keep showing up, keep connecting, keep creating magic. I will see you in the next episode.